Recorded live with little or no editing. It's Defense Up. I'm Run7. How you doing? Today we have a non-void content creator, CleaningAgent. CleaningAgent is a friend of mine, and he put up a kind of a ramshackle defense. He's a free-to-play soft launch player out of Canada, does some great content on Twitch. You should definitely check him out. I'll be sure to put his links in the description down below. His defense may or may not be laughable. There's some fun stuff in here. He doesn't take it too seriously, and honestly, I don't think anybody should take defense too seriously. We want to build for value. You put in the stuff that you're not using, and you try to make it work as best you can to maybe catch people off guard with something tricky, or just have ISOs that work well together. So let's see what he's done, if he put any thought into these, or if he just kind of threw them out there. Let me get the microphone out of the way. We grade on 5 different criteria. It's who you're using, their placement, their power levels, their ISOs, and what kind of mood I'm in. Team number 1 is a YA mashup with Deathpool and Scientist Supreme. Now, I need to check this out. Does anybody know in chat if what the speed is on these two characters, if Squirrel Nuts goes first or if Scientist Supreme goes first? Because if Scientist Supreme goes first, Squirrel Nuts could cleanse it and that might work out. But if it's the other way around, that could actually be kind of detrimental to the team. There's not a ton of synergy going on here with these two. I believe Deathpool is a hero brawler, so she's got that going on. You've got Striker, Skirmisher here. Squirrel Nuts as a healer, that's okay. I kind of like Squirrel Nuts as a striker to go with the rest of them. And then, let's see, I don't like Ms. Marvel in the corner because she's going to get disrupted by a Darkhold team if they choose to use that. And I just don't know. Squirrel Girl goes first. Squirrel Girl goes first. Okay, so Scientist Supreme is going to throw out negative effects all over this team to start off with. And this is one of those teams that you got to go in fast and get in front of them and beat them. So that's really not going to work out well. I think we should get rid of Scientist Supreme. I don't think that's going to play out well unless somebody makes a mistake and allows Scientist Supreme to get to her turn 2 maneuver. For me, I don't like this. I think we should at least remove Scientist Supreme, probably take off America Chavez. Sen Raven rating with a party of 13. You did it, Sen. That's 7 videos Sen's in. We should take America Chavez and put her on a separate team probably, because this isn't like a big enough deal to really worry about. I'd like to see... I mean, you can keep this ISO the same. It works. I just prefer Striker myself, but I won't dock you for it. I don't like her, and I think we could build a separate team out of this and get more value out of your entire defense as a whole rather than just this one team. I'm going to give you a C for this. It looks like Scientist Supreme is pretty detrimental to the way this plays out. Team number 2 is a Merc team with Shuri. Ooh, we got bad placement going on here. So Lieutenant does stuff. He heals when someone adjacent to him is attacked, and there's no one adjacent to him over his right shoulder. So we need to move him somewhere into the center. I would say let's go Taskmaster, Lieutenant, then Riot Guard, then Killmonger, and then Shuri. As for your ISOs, I don't like Raider on Taskmaster. I think he should either be a Skirmisher or a Striker. If you make him a Skirmisher, you make the Mercs Strikers. If you make him a Striker, you make the Mercs Skirmishers. To do that. Yeah, I just, Healer and Fortifier is okay. You went 2. They either need to be war ready or just 1 ISO. You do 1 ISO or you go 4 ISOs. Honestly, this team is so old. If you guys are building it yourselves, I think Taskmaster deserves some good ISOs. He is useful. I use him all over the place because of his blind, the way he can work through blind and all kinds of stuff. He's got a stun and steal. He's a great character, and I think he's worth investing in. But as for the rest of them, definitely these Mercs, I think it's time we just stop investing in this team, stop building this team. I'd like to see people start taking Taskmaster and building a complete hybrid team out of him for defense, because this is an old and busted team, and it's just no good anymore. I really don't like the way CleaningAgent went with this. He threw in the native ISOs on all of these characters, went with Raider for an opening maneuver for those vulnerables on his opener, which, I mean, you can go for some big opening crit damage, and honestly, if you're using Taskmaster all by himself, Raider's not a terrible choice. So I think for Cleaning Agent, I think you should break this team up and do something completely new and crazy and different and really surprise me. As far as this, placement tweak would probably help. Changing Taskmaster's ISO or changing the Mercs ISOs would probably help on this build. You could also be using Shuri someplace else and go with a 5th mercenary to give Taskmaster that much more opening speed. Honestly, if you're going with Raider, that opening crit explosive damage, probably get rid of Shuri and go with somebody like Korath the Pursuer as a striker or a skirmisher. Yeah, I'm gonna go B- on this team. It's not that you're wasting too much, it's just that there's a lot of changes that need to be made to go one way or another with that. Team number 3 is a Kree team. Oh my goodness, you really did not care, did you, Cleaning Agent? A Kree team is a filler team, guys. Don't use them. Minerva has plug and play value. Captain Marvel has plug and play value. The rest of these guys are crap. You probably over invested in Ultimus. He could be used on that Merc team to stop the Skilletary build, but these days people are throwing Skilletary on defense as a filler. So I don't think Ultimus is even a useful character to be building at all. So I'd say there's an over investment in these guys. Especially Ronan. I mean, there's a case to be made. You got to build him up to get Fury unlocked and startup, but whatever. Ultimus and Ronan have no reason being built on anyone's roster at all for any reason. And then these two are good plug and play characters elsewhere. I'm going to go with a D on this. You're throwing junk in together. They do have Crease synergy, but it's a total waste. We could do a lot better with something else. All right, moving on to number 4. It's the Web Warriors. Fantastic. Going to give you an A for that team. Good placement. Proper ISOs, everything going great. This is great. He's probably doing really good in Scourge with that team. Of course, this is getting some war bonuses, so it's a little bit bigger than would be in the Scourge event. But yeah, I love that. There's an A for that. Good job. Team number 5 is the Uncanny XMen with Phoenix, fat and wide, and Storm, not big enough, plus no magic. You know what? Either go ahead and run this as a filler team because you probably, I mean, you're a day one player, so this is built from a long time ago, and that's okay. But Phoenix is never going to die. Storm is going to die too early. I doubt Colossus is going to save anybody. Also, your Colossus is big enough. You should consider putting him as a skirmisher instead of a fortifier because he's got lots, especially if you got T4s in Colossus, go skirmisher. If you don't have the T4s in Colossus, then you should go ahead and stick with the fortifier. Her ISO doesn't matter because she is supposed to die, but if you want, I think going skirmisher so she lays out the vulnerable if she makes it to her second turn before dying, and she probably will because she's so much bigger on this team. This team just isn't really that good without magic, and magic isn't good enough to build this team. So I think, you know, I think pull her and maybe Colossus off and build a hybrid team. But this is okay. You have decent ISOs. I think go Raider here, and go Skirmisher here. So a little bit of a wasted investment in the ISOs. Placement is about the only thing you got going on here, and even that could probably use a tweak. I'm going to go with a C for this team. Let's change those ISOs, or better yet, just take these two and use them as a plug and play on a hybrid team. Maybe you could stick them with these two over here and just have some big tunes, you know? Okay, team number 6 is the Wave 1 Avengers with Yondu. I have no idea why Yondu is in here other than you're using him for tech raids. And I don't think he has much synergy with this team. He does spawn some minions. He's not a bad character. I just don't see any synergy going on here. I'm curious where your Black Widow is. Thank you for the follow, Broken Beans. I love that name. Let's go Captain America and Hulk on the one side as healers. That is absolutely right. Thor is a raider in the middle. That's pretty good. If you're running Black Widow, she goes here. If you're not, then Thor goes here. You've got Hawkeye as a striker. He can be striker, skirmisher, or raider depending on where you're using him and how you're using him. All are valid, and I don't dock anybody for any choices. And then Yondu is a striker. I'm not actually all that familiar with Yondu because I don't use him at all. I didn't build him. I skipped that team because, hey, we got to skip some teams once in a while. I'm curious how this works out. I just don't, I think it's just a big tune and he's plugging them in here and it's something to do. I doubt he built the rest of the Ravagers. Cleaning Agent, did you build the rest of the Ravagers? Black Widow is on offense with Skill Mill. Okay, so that's where Black Widow is, and that's a good choice. The Skill Military is a good team. I'm just curious if he built any of the other Ravagers. You know what? I don't have a problem with this team. I don't think there's any kind of waste, and this is somebody you can plug in place of Black Widow. So I think it's okay. I'm going to go ahead and give him an A for this team. I don't really see a problem with this. I'm not familiar with his ISO, so I'm going to roll with Stryker as okay. I'll have to look that up. I'm sorry I didn't prepare. Hard no, he did not build the rest of the Ravagers. Yeah, so he's just using him someplace. And this is kind of becoming an older filler team. So there we go. Ravager on Wave 1 Avengers. You heard it here first. Team number 7 is the Sorta 6 with Ock. Sorta 6 with Ock. Okay. Rhino adjacent to Ock. That's good for the cleanse. You got Drax opening with the taunt, so it makes it tougher for the speed meta teams to come in here. It just depends on where that summons is going to be placed. You should probably be making Drax a fortifier rather than a healer. You're not going to get any value out of healer on that. It just doesn't work. He's going to be dead before he does his moves. I think, yeah, a level 1 fortifier is going to be better. I think you should also do a level 1 fortifier on Rhino, if not a Raider. Don't put any more than 1 point into him because, yeah, it's just the healer ISO is really not a very powerful ISO at all. I also would like to see Raider on Vulture. He opens up early and can get some vulnerables in there. And then you have no one putting out vulnerables, and you have Ghost in there as a striker. There's no double taps for Ghost. Wah, wah, wah. So let's do level 1 Raider across the board on the bottom row. And then we'll keep him as a healer. We'll keep her as a striker. And I think the placement's fine. This is a good filler team. There's nothing wrong with these choices. I like the way this plays out against those speed meta teams, but we definitely need to get some vulnerables on the field. So I'm going to go with a B for that. Change those ISOs on the bottom row. Team number 8 is the Emmarauders with Sue Storm. I like Sue Storm on this in place of Madeline Pryor until Pryor comes out. I'm curious if Cleaning Agent is going to build Madeline Pryor. I think she is a luxury flex for whales. I don't think she's important. I think she is unnecessary, though she looks like a lot of fun and I want to build her. I don't think I'm going to build her. Oh, we got another follow. Thanks, Freeman. We need to build up Strife. If you are serious about this team, you have to have a serious Strife. He's the linchpin. He's got to be built big. This new rework, he's really hard to get through. And especially if you have villain mutants on here, if you throw Pryor on there, he basically spawns with taunt. That's basically how it works. No one's going to get in front of him. Also, with Pryor or with a 5th villain mutant, he goes so fast that Shadowlands can't get in front of him. I think with a 5th villain mutant. I'd have to check that. I'm not sure. I know with Pryor, there's no getting in front of him. But Sue Storm is great. She does a cleanse. She does barriers. She does like invisibility and stuff like that. And her team sucks. So let's use her here. I think Cleaning Agent is one of the few people that built his team up for the Nowhere event just for fun, just to say he could and just to kind of, you know, jive people a little bit. So he's got a big one. He's got a big one. Mystique no longer sucks. She's okay to invest in. I like her better as a skirmisher, but Raider is also okay. Healer on Sinister is great. I think we should be prepared, but not yet, but prepare to change Emma to a skirmisher so that you get more vulnerables on the field, because I think, again, I think Madeline Pryor is going to be a striker because of that sweet, sweet basic. Healer sucks on him. Make him a fortifier 100% of the time. And then I don't really like her as a healer. I think she should be a skirmisher. You've got a relatively low investment in a lot of the in 3 of these. I think you should go ahead and make the changes, even if you just change them to a level 1 for now. At least get the right ISO queued up for them. So skirmisher, fortifier, and probably skirmisher. You could leave her as a raider if you want, but I do like her better as a skirmisher. Okay, I like what's going on here. It needs some work though. I'm gonna give you a B+. Team number 9 is the H for H. We need to get Shang-Chi out of the corner. We need to swap places with Misty Knight. Misty Knight has much better resistance. I think we should also replace Colleen Wing with Iron Fist. Swap places there. I'd like to see that cross swap there to put those people in the corners, simply because those people either have higher resistance or are less important. And those are the people in the corners that if a Darkhold team comes into this are going to get resisted or disrupted, excuse me. Shang-Chi's pretty badass on this team. Wow, that's pretty great. Nice investment. You're obviously using him elsewhere. And then if you're planning on building this team and you're a newer player or whatever, I think you just need to build him to about 400, 450 and then stop. Shang-Chi has value. I didn't build him myself. I don't think he is necessary, but he is very valuable. I'm almost on the fence about bringing him up just so I can get through the city section of DD5. I really don't want to do that because I haven't needed him anywhere else but Dark Dimension. I hate building Dark Dimension characters just for Dark Dimension. So I like the ISO setup. I think Luke Cage should be a fortifier, but you've kind of overinvested and this team is already countered to hell and back. People are actually pulling Shang-Chi off of this team to build hybrids at this point. That's how countered this team is now. I do like Skirmisher or Raider on Iron Fist rather than Healer, simply because every counter that goes into this team uses heal block and uses a lot of it actually. And so you don't get a lot of value out of the healer ISOs. So we should go fortifier here for sure. And then your choice if you want to change that. But again, like the team's just, it's rounded the corner and I don't know if we should be changing ISOs on it or just leave it. So it is what it is. Let's just do a placement swap for sure. And I'm going to give you a B+ for that. Team number 10 is a Brotherhood Doom team. Wow, I don't see a lot of these anymore. This is a little bit old because that Rhino factor. However, I think we should be using this a lot more because people are using X Factor into the YA team as a punch across or maybe a punch down. And if you put this team in here, this team traditionally is countered by X Factor with Rhino, which is a great counter for this team. It works like 80% of the time. It works 100% of the time. But I think we should be using this a lot more just to soak up the X Factor. So Cleaning Agent, I'd like to see you move this into your first 4 slots, team number 1, 2, 3, or 4, and let people see that and hope that they use an X Factor on it. And that way your alliance will have less X Factors going into their Young Avenger teams, if that's what you want to do. I think it's a good idea. Let's see, Skirmisher, Fortifier. So we got Raider and Striker. Okay, you have 3 Brotherhood members, which means he'll be counterattacking more often than not. I think you should definitely change him to a Skirmisher. I don't think there's a reason to change him to a Striker because there's not going to be enough disrupts on the field. You have one coming from here and one coming from here in his bots. So maybe there's a case to be made to make him a Striker for turn meter rewind, but it's pretty iffy. I only like the Striker on Blob on an offensive build on a full Brotherhood 2.0 team. That's the only time I really like it, because then you're controlling it and you can rewind the turn meter. We are seeing some counters for the Darkhold team that are encompassing Magneto. So stay tuned. We'll see if it's worth building your Magneto to the moon or not. I don't know. We got to kind of wait and see how the MLF plays out with her red stars and once she gets her resistance up, if those teams are actually working. But check out my stream recycle. We show the video off of how that works, and there will be links in the description in that video to Nemesis's showcasing of a non-Darkhold team beating a full Darkhold team. It's actually pretty kind of cool. It's only 45k punch down. Anyway, I like everything about this team. I would like to see a change on that one ISO. Otherwise, I think this is fantastic. I think it's a great team. I think more of us should be using this simply to soak up more of those X Factors. I'm going to give you an A- for this team. All in all, Cleaning Agent, I thought your defense was kind of fun to go over. I could see where sometimes you just didn't care and sometimes you're just throwing in what you had, and that's okay. That's okay. So thank you for sharing that with us. If you want to be a part of the conversation like Cleaning Agent was today, then be sure to catch my streams Tuesdays and Thursdays on Twitch. There will be links in the description to that and all sorts of other fun stuff like Cleaning Agent's content. And remember, guys, don't just have a good game, be good to yourselves and others too, and I will catch you next time. Bye.